In this video, we're talking about Stratmore's Epar 226, which is a low viscosity, clear, unfilled epoxy used for a variety of applications. For the most part, it can be used for filling cracks and priming concrete prior to applying other epoxies, as it can flow into the pores. This creates a stronger bond and helps to consolidate the surface. The instructions in this video apply to the use of all of Stratmore's clear, thin epoxies. As with any of our products, ensure the areas to which the epoxy is going to be applied are clean and that any loose material and dust is removed. You will need the following equipment: gloves, hard bristled or wire brush, spatula, ideally flat-bladed, a low-speed drill, particularly when mixing larger quantities, containers for mixing. The best type are smooth-sided. Depending on the type of application, you may also need a brush, roller, mastic gun, trowel, or other crack injection equipment. Pay special attention to the mixing ratio for the relevant clear liquid epoxy. For example, Epar 226 is 3 parts resin to 1 part hardener by volume. Other mix ratios are summarized in a table at the end of this video. Never estimate the ratio by eye and never be tempted to change the mix ratio. Adding more hardener will not result in a faster cure and will likely result in a compromised cure and reduced strength. Depending on the quantity of epoxy to be mixed, select a suitable measuring container and mixing container. If you're mixing a complete pack, for smaller packs such as a 1 litre or 4 litre pack, then completely drain both the hardener and resin into a mixing bucket. 5 minutes should be sufficient for complete draining. Mixing larger amounts of epoxy will mean that they will start to cure quickly once mixed, and therefore must be applied quickly. For a smaller quantity, select a suitable see-through mixing container or purchase one with gradation markings on it, and a mixing scoop or measuring cup. For this video, we'll use Epar 226 epoxy, which is a mixing ratio of 3 parts resin to 1 part hardener. That means we'll need to add 4 parts, by volume 3 parts of resin and 1 part of hardener, in total to the mixing container. Because the epoxy components are difficult to completely drain from the measuring scoop, between each measure, it is much easier to mark the mixing container to the required mixing ratio. To do this, we will fill the mixing container with water up to the 3 part mark, the resin mark, and then mark it. Then add 1 more part, which is the hardener, and then mark that level. Now simply fill the mixing container with resin to the resin mark, then add hardener to the hardener mark. Ensure when making the marks and filling the components to the marks that you view from the same level as the liquids so as to be as accurate as possible with the volumes measured. A handy hint: use a plastic mixing container, then after you have finished with the epoxy, let the remaining epoxy set in the container. Once it is cured hard, simply squeeze the sides of the mixing container and bang the container on a hard surface. The cured epoxy will fall out of the container and you can reuse the container again without any cleanup required. Smooth-sided containers are best for mixing the epoxy, particularly when using a flat-bladed spatula, or, for larger volumes, a low-speed drill with an appropriate attachment. But you will still need a spatula for scraping the sides, as this is most important for good mixing. Mix slowly and thoroughly, scraping the sides and bottom of the container at least 3 times during the complete mixing process. Avoid trapping air into the mixture. Continue mixing for at least 5 minutes until a uniform, streak-free mix is obtained. Use the mixture well within its pot life. Do not continue to use the mixture once it heats up or starts to thicken. Some of the epoxies can be mixed with sand or other fillers. Consult the relevant technical data sheets available from our website. And if you are adding fillers or aggregate, then stir them in only after the 2 epoxy components are mixed thoroughly. The mixed epoxy, when applied to the surface, will easily fill the pores and cracks of the surface with very little working in. Allow to fully cure, about 72 hours at 20 degrees Celsius. Curing time will be affected by humidity level and air substrate temperatures. Mixed epoxy may be washed off hands and all equipment with soap and hot water before curing is advanced. However, the resin alone is difficult to wash off in this way, and we recommend using our epoxy solvent thinners for equipment and a little rubbing alcohol for the hands. Once cured, the epoxy can only be removed by mechanical means or by chipping away at it. The following table summarizes mix ratios and pot life for most of the liquid epoxy products manufactured by Stratmore.